Before we dive into this incredible story that will leave you speechless, make sure to hit that subscribe button and give this video a thumbs up if you want to hear more real-life stories that prove truth is stranger than fiction. And trust me, you'll want to share this one with everyone you know by the end. Hi everyone, I'm Sarah, and I'm 34 years old. I live in Denver, Colorado, where the winters are as cold as my husband turned out to be. What I'm about to tell you happened just 6 months ago, and honestly, I'm still processing it all. But I need to share this story because what happened after my world fell apart will shock you just as much as it shocked everyone in my life. It was December 23rd, 2024. The snow was falling gently outside our 2-story colonial home in the suburbs, the kind of picture-perfect Christmas scene you see on greeting cards. I had spent weeks preparing for what I thought would be our best Christmas yet. The tree was decorated with ornaments we'd collected over our 8 years of marriage. The presents were wrapped and perfectly arranged underneath, and the smell of my grandmother's apple cinnamon cookies filled the entire house. My husband Marcus and I had been together for 10 years, married for 8. We met in college at the University of Colorado, both studying business. He was charming, ambitious, and had this way of making me feel like I was the only person in the room. We built what I thought was a solid life together. He worked as a financial advisor at a prestigious firm downtown, and I ran a small but successful interior design business from our home office. That morning, I was in the kitchen, humming Christmas carols while preparing his favorite breakfast, blueberry pancakes with real maple syrup. The morning sun was streaming through our bay window, casting a warm glow on the granite countertops I had picked out when we renovated the kitchen 3 years ago. Everything seemed perfect. Marcus came downstairs looking different. His usually perfectly styled brown hair was messy, and he couldn't meet my eyes. He was wearing his expensive navy suit, the one I bought him for our anniversary, but something about his posture screamed discomfort. "Good morning, honey," I said cheerfully, flipping a pancake. "Ready for Christmas Eve tomorrow? Your parents will be here at 6, and I picked up that wine your mom loves." He sat down at our breakfast nook, the one overlooking our backyard where we'd planned to build a swing set for the kids we kept saying we'd have someday. His hands were shaking slightly as he reached for his coffee mug, the one that read, "World's Best Husband," that I'd given him last Christmas. "Sarah, we need to talk," he said quietly. Those 4 words, I swear, those 4 words can change your entire life in an instant. I turned around, spatula still in hand, and looked at him, really looked at him. That's when I noticed the suitcase by the front door that I'd somehow missed when I came downstairs. "What's going on?" I asked, though something deep in my stomach already knew. Marcus took a deep breath, still avoiding my gaze. "I can't do this anymore, Sarah. I can't pretend that I'm happy, that this is what I want." The pancake I was holding slipped from the spatula and hit the floor with a wet slap. "What are you talking about?" "Marcus, what's wrong? We can work through whatever this is." He finally looked up, and I saw something in his eyes I'd never seen before. A complete absence of the love I thought had been there for 10 years. "I'm leaving, Sarah. Today. I've already found an apartment downtown." "Today? On December 23rd? The day before Christmas Eve?" My voice was rising and I could hear the desperation creeping in. "Our families are coming tomorrow. We have plans. We have a life." "I know the timing is terrible," he said, standing up and straightening his tie like he was preparing for a business meeting instead of destroying our marriage. "But I can't keep living this lie. I haven't been happy for years, Sarah. Years. The word hit me like a physical blow. While I'd been planning our future, choosing paint colors for the nursery we talked about, saving money for the trip to Italy we dreamed of taking, he'd been miserable. And I hadn't known. "Is there someone else?" I whispered, though I was terrified of the answer. His silence was answer enough. "Who?" I demanded, my voice stronger now, anger beginning to override the shock. "It doesn't matter who. It matters to me." I slammed the spatula down on the counter, and he actually flinched. "Who, Marcus?" "Jessica," he said quietly. "From my office, Jessica." I knew Jessica. She was 26, blonde, and had that effortless way of making everyone around her feel important. She'd been at our last company Christmas party, had complimented my dress, had asked about my business with what I thought was genuine interest. I had liked her. "How long?" I asked. surprised by how calm my voice sounded. 6 months. 6 months. During our vacation to the mountains, during my birthday dinner, during all those nights he said he was working late, during the times he held me and told me he loved me. I walked over to the window and stared out at our snow-covered yard. The bird feeder I'd hung last spring was empty, and I made a mental note to fill it before remembering that nothing mattered anymore. "So you're leaving me on December 23rd to spend Christmas with her," I said, still looking outside. "Sarah, I'm sorry. I know this is hard, but..." "Hard?" I turned around, and something in my expression must have scared him because he took a step back. "Hard doesn't begin to cover this, Marcus. You're destroying 8 years of marriage, 10 years of being together, 2 days before Christmas, to be with someone you've been cheating with for 6 months. I never meant for it to happen this way, but it did happen this way. You made it happen this way." I walked over to him, and for a moment, he looked hopeful, like maybe I was going to forgive him, like maybe we could work it out. Instead, I picked up his coffee mug, the world's best husband mug, and calmly walked to the sink. I dropped it. The sound of it shattering echoed through our kitchen. "You can go now," I said, without turning around. I heard him pick up his suitcase. I heard the front door open and close. I heard his car start and pull out of our driveway, and then I heard nothing but the sound of my own breathing and the grandfather clock in our living room ticking away the seconds of my new reality. For about an hour, I just stood there in my kitchen, surrounded by the smell of burned pancakes and broken dreams. Then something interesting happened. Instead of collapsing, instead of calling my sister crying, instead of doing any of the things people expect you to do when your world implodes, I got angry. Not just angry, furious. I looked around at our house, at the life I'd built, at the Christmas decorations I'd hung with love and hope, and I realized something. This was my house. I had put the down payment on it with money from my business. My name was on the deed. My taste was in every room. My work had paid for half of everything we owned. Marcus wanted to leave? Fine, but he wasn't going to destroy my Christmas. I pulled out my phone and started making calls. "Mom," I said when she answered. "Change of plans for tomorrow. We're making this the best Christmas ever." "Sarah, honey, what's wrong? You sound strange." "Marcus left me for another woman yesterday," I said, surprised by how steady my voice was. "But I'm not canceling Christmas. I'm upgrading it." First, I called our families and explained the situation. My parents wanted to come over immediately, but I told them to wait until Christmas Eve as planned. Marcus's parents, well, that was an interesting conversation. His mother actually apologized to me and said she'd suspected something was wrong with him lately. His father called Marcus a damn fool. Then I got to work. I drove to the grocery store and bought enough food for an army. If people were coming to support me, I was going to feed them properly. I bought the expensive steaks I'd been saving for New Year's, lobster tails, champagne, and ingredients for every dessert I could think of. Next stop, the electronics store. I bought a karaoke machine. Because why not? I also picked up a projector system I'd been wanting to install in our basement. But here's where it gets interesting, and this is the part that shocked everyone. When I got home, I found Marcus's laptop still on the kitchen counter. He'd forgotten it in his rush to leave. I knew his password. It was our wedding date, which felt especially insulting now. I opened it, and what I found made my blood run cold. Email after email between him and Jessica. Not just romantic messages, but detailed plans. They weren't just having an affair. They had been planning to start a business together using clients from Marcus's current firm. Essentially, they were planning to steal his company's client list and start their own financial advisory firm. But it got worse. Much worse. I found emails discussing our house, our assets, our savings. Marcus had been planning this for months, and he'd been moving money around, setting up separate accounts, preparing to take as much as he legally could in what he assumed would be a messy divorce. In one email to Jessica, he wrote, "Don't worry about Sarah. She's so focused on her little decorating business. She has no idea about real money. I'll get the house, most of the assets, and she can keep her fabric samples. My little decorating business, the business that had paid for half of everything we owned, the business that had supported us when he was between jobs 2 years ago." I sat there staring at the screen, and that's when I made a decision that would change everything. I screenshot every single email, every message, every document that showed their business plans, the money transfers, everything. Then I did something that probably wasn't entirely legal, but felt completely justified. I forwarded it all to Marcus's boss. But I didn't stop there. You see, Jessica wasn't just any employee at Marcus's firm. She was the boss's daughter. I composed a very professional email to Mr. Davidson, Marcus's 60-year-old old-school values boss, explaining that I had discovered my husband's affair with his daughter and their plans to steal company clients and start a competing business. I attached all the evidence and sent it from my own email address. Then I called my lawyer, not a divorce attorney, but my business attorney who had helped me navigate some client contracts. I explained the situation and asked what my options were. Turns out, since I could prove Marcus had been hiding assets and planning to defraud me, I had a very strong case for not just divorce, but for keeping pretty much everything. By Christmas Eve, my house was full of people who loved me. Both sets of parents, my sister and her family, my 3 closest friends, and even some neighbors who had heard what happened and wanted to show support. The karaoke machine was a huge hit. The food was incredible, and for the first time in months, I felt genuinely happy. Around 9 that evening, my phone started ringing. It was Marcus. "Sarah, what did you do?" he shouted when I answered. I put the phone on speaker so my sister could hear. "I did what you should have done months ago," I said calmly. "I told the truth. You sent our private emails to my boss. Jessica got fired. I got fired. You ruined everything." "I ruined everything?" I laughed, and I could hear how different I sounded. Stronger. "Marcus, you ruined everything when you decided to cheat on your wife and steal from your company. I just made sure the right people knew about it. This is insane, Sarah. You're being vindictive and—" "I'm being smart," I interrupted. "For the first time in our relationship, I'm being smarter than you thought I was. Turns out my little decorating business taught me a few things about contracts, about business, about what happens when people try to steal from each other." There was silence on the other end. "Oh, and Marcus, I hope you saved some money, because my attorney says that after we prove you were hiding assets and planning to defraud me, you're going to need it for your own lawyer. Merry Christmas." I hung up and looked around at my living room full of people who actually cared about me, at the tree that looked even more beautiful without his presence poisoning it, at the life I was already beginning to rebuild. My dad raised his champagne glass. "To Sarah," he said, "who just proved that revenge is a dish best served cold." Everyone laughed and toasted, but here's the thing. It wasn't really about revenge. It was about finally seeing clearly, finally understanding my worth, finally refusing to be underestimated. 3 months later, Marcus and Jessica's business plan fell apart when no clients would follow them, partly because word had gotten around about how they'd planned to steal their client list, and partly because Jessica had been blacklisted from working at any reputable firm in Denver. Marcus had to move back in with his parents and take a job at a small firm in Colorado Springs for half his previous salary. Meanwhile, my interior design business exploded. Apparently, the story of what I'd done had spread, and suddenly I had clients calling me who said they wanted to work with someone who was smart and wouldn't take any nonsense. I had to hire 2 assistants and rent office space downtown. But the most shocking part, 6 months after that terrible December 23rd, I was happier than I'd been in years. I had redecorated the entire house in my own style. Bolder, more colorful, more me. I had traveled to Italy by myself and had the most amazing time. I had started dating again, casually, and remembered what it felt like to be with someone who actually listened when I talked. Last week, I ran into Jessica at the grocery store. She looked tired, older, defeated. She started to walk away when she saw me. But then she stopped. "Sarah," she said quietly, "I owe you an apology." I looked at her, this woman who had helped destroy my marriage, and realized I felt nothing. No anger, no hurt, nothing. "You don't owe me anything, Jessica," I said. "You actually did me a favor. You helped me discover who my husband really was, and more importantly, who I really am." She looked confused, like that wasn't the response she'd expected. "I hope things work out for you," I added, and I meant it, both of you. As I walked away, I realized that was true. I did hope things worked out for them, because their happiness or unhappiness had nothing to do with mine anymore. The truth is, Marcus leaving me on December 23rd was the worst thing that happened to me that year, but it was also the best thing. It forced me to discover strength I didn't know I had, to value myself in ways I never had before, to build a life that was entirely my own. Sometimes the worst betrayals lead to the best transformations. Sometimes losing everything is actually finding yourself. And sometimes, just sometimes, the person who thinks they're playing chess discovers they were actually playing checkers the whole time. If this story resonated with you, if it reminded you that you're stronger than you think, please hit that like button and subscribe for more incredible real-life stories. Share this video with someone who needs to hear that they can overcome anything, because the truth is, we all can. We're all more resilient, more capable, and more valuable than anyone who would betray us could ever understand. What would you have done in my situation? Let me know in the comments below. Until next time, remember, you are enough, exactly as you are.